Welcome to Pine Thicket Philosophies, the non-podcast podcast where we do everything the podcast experts tell you not to do. If you are looking for a finely polished and professional podcast crew, well, folks, we ain't it. But if you want to virtually join a group of old outdoorsmen from southern Appalachia as we sit around the fire and talk about any one of our favorite topics, we'll pour a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and enjoy. All right, y'all want to do a podcast before we get on the interstate?
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm flexible.
All right.
I was flexible until I rode 15 miles. Now my hamstrings are a little tight.
Yes.
I have to work those out.
I'll agree.
Josh couldn't even get up from a table walk.
After you left, I was going to get up and push my chair back. My legs wouldn't work, and I couldn't push my chair back. But then when I finally got up, both my calves went like tried to cramp. I was like, oh no.
Lieutenant Dan, what happened to your legs?
All right, so welcome to a special edition of Pine Thicket Philosophy. I don't know if this will be the first in the Cades Cove series or if there was another one. It just depends. I'll just have to go look at what we filmed and see if it's usable, to be honest with you. But we are in the truck, headed home. We got this kind of, it's going to fall and hit me in the head. I know, but hopefully it's working. Hopefully. Anyway, of course, the crew for today's adventure was Brady, Josh, Matthew,
Present.
and then, of course, I'm the ever-present.
You're just Brad.
I'm just Brad.
Just Brad.
So, So we've decided we were going to talk about a couple of different things, but one thing, let's do this one first, and let's talk about just going to Cades Cove to ride. What is something that because two of y'all were newbies. I've ridden it several times, and I've ridden it several times, but I'm a gear junkie. I take way too much crap. I didn't need half of the stuff I carried, but I had it. So my bike probably weighed about 180 pounds.
That's on the low side.
So, what's Brady? If you were bringing a newbie, all right, perfect example. You said you wanted to bring your wife. Does your wife ride bikes?
She does not.
Oh, okay. Well, then we won't count that.
E-bike.
Yeah. So, if you were bringing somebody up here that had never ridden in Cades Cove, what do you think the most important piece of information you could share with them?
Well, we violated that one, and it was to never get in between a cub and its mama.
We did. We did do that, accidentally.
Sort of.
Yeah, but it was really weird. I'll let you go ahead and tell it.
Well, we came down from one of the cabins.
It's John Oliver Cabin. Our first stop, not far off of the trailhead, is what I'll call it. And we had been told that there were some cubs and a mama, and sure enough, we found them, and we happened to find ourselves in a position where the cubs were in front of us, and she was munching on blackberries behind us, and she didn't pose any threat, and we were there for a few minutes. She didn't. It was almost like she was almost thanking us for babysitting. I'm sorry, guys, I can't get over here. It was almost like she was just thanking us for babysitting her youngsters so she could get a break and
eat some berries in peace.
Some berries.
So, part of Cades Cove and what makes it great is the wildlife and the animals, but at the same time, you've got to be careful in those situations. You can't chase them and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I think if we would have gotten any closer, the cubs, when we came down the trail, the cubs were in a tree across the road on the inside part of the Cades Cove Loop. And, you know, before we knew it, we were pretty well right under them. And, you know, we stopped to take pictures, and they were just scurrying around in the trees, eating berries and, you know, what have you. They didn't seem to really be startled or scared of us or anything. And there was some other people standing there, and I said, and we were laughing about, you know, where's Mama? And this guy goes, well, she's right there behind you. And I laughed, thought he was kidding, and I turned around and looked, and she's raised up looking at me. You know, she's about 40 yards away, which bears can cover 40 yards very, very quickly.
Right.
But she just kind of looked up and then went right back to grazing. It didn't bother her. But I think if we would have tried to get closer and those cubs sounded some type of an alarm call, I think we would have had trouble.
Yeah. If it went, Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those cubs just weren't really paying that much attention to us. They were
Climbing in the trees.
Yep, they were just climbing around in the trees, just having them a good time. All right, what about you, Josh? What is one thing you would tell a newbie that was coming to Cades Cove to ride bikes?
Well, if they're an experienced rider, I'd be like, well, just be prepared that there are a lot of hills. And make sure your brakes are in check for going down the hills. And maybe invest in an e-bike.
There's few things that just make me want to lash out irrationally than when I'm struggling up one of those hills and Granny Blue Hair goes by me on an e-bike giggling and laughing at me.
Like, quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they're just booking it up through there, and they're just like,
What I loved is, I think it was after I actually had to hike the hill. We stopped, me and Brad was standing there, and this woman come up. She's like, whew, my legs are just give out.
Yeah, she was on a freaking
She's on the
e-bike.
e-bike.
Oh.
I'm like, really?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
you're riding an e-bike.
I mean, you could hear it whining up through there.
Come on now. Your legs are tired.
Bless it.
Yeah.
She's riding an e-bike.
Wow. We go sissies.
But e-bikes are good.
One thing that I would tell a newbie, and that would just be to be conscientious of there are people there that are very experienced riders, and they are riding, some of those guys are going very, very fast, and they're going to pass you on the left side. So just be mindful of that. Stay to the right side unless you're passing somebody. And even if you're passing someone,
Always check over your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's right.
always check. All right, what about you, Matthew?
I'm the same way. Always be vigilant of your wildlife and your surroundings. For one thing, they are wild animals, no matter what. I know they see people daily, but still. And then, like we've been talking about the hills, you know, make sure your friend or the newbie going with us has easier pedaling. And some of those hills are pretty mean. Fun to come down the backside of them.
Yeah.
But struggle and sweat drip off your nose on the front side. But other than that,
I'll be honest, I had never realized how hilly Cades Cove was until I rode in on a bike.
that's right.
Like when I went around through there in a car, I thought, oh, there's a couple of pretty decent sized hills.
Right.
I was not, the first time I rode it, I was not prepared.
Yeah, there's some good ones back there. Long drawed out climbs going up to that first big parking area there. Scenic view there. And if you wait on up into the morning, you'll just get a string of 200 people pushing their bicycles up some of those hills.
Yeah.
And then you've either got to just slow down to a crawl on your bicycle and weave in between them, or just get off and walk yourself. We've seen a lot of people just having to plumb stop last year when we come up here and done it. And then, because it got congested on up into the morning. But they wasn't near the people they was last year this morning.
No. The first time me and Larry came and rode it on the Wednesday after the 4th, I mean, it was unbelievable how many people. And last year not May the 4th, on July the 4th. Last year when me and Shannon came on May the 5th, there was a lot more people here than there was this year when we came on May the 4th. All right, so has anybody got anything to add?
I will say, respect wildlife. And respect the park, specifically Cades Cove. I'm talking about Cades Cove, I guess.
Right.
Respect the wildlife, respect the park. Don't litter and don't be an idiot. I think that's good advice.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do those 4 things, you're going to
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated, because it does get hot.
Quickly.
And it's humid up there. It may be, up in the mountains where the temperature may be cooler, but son, she is still cooking because of the humidity. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. It may be a short one, and it may not be usable at all, but we'll try. So remember to get out there and find your own adventure, because even bad adventures make great stories. Talk to you later, guys. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in for this episode of Pine Thicket Philosophies. Tune in next time as we continue to live by our motto, even bad adventures make great stories.